It's officially wave season, which means January is one of the busiest months to book your Alaska cruise. And if you miss those deals for Black Friday, no worries, you can still find some great deals happening right now. A lot of times you're going to see things like free drink package or huge savings with a second guest sailing free. Check those out. I'll leave a link in the description, but in this video, we're talking about planning your cruise because you've already booked it. Hey y'all, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Tiffany with TP's Travels, and if Alaska cruising is something you will be doing this year or even in 2027, be sure to hit that subscribe because I have a whole series of Alaska cruise videos coming for you. So let's go ahead and jump into the essential planning steps. Now, the biggest mistake I will say that I see Alaska cruisers making, planning your Alaska cruise like it's just a colder version of the Caribbean. But really the logistics from the ports, where you're docking, what excursions you're booking, all of this is completely different than booking a Caribbean cruise. So right now, if you're watching this video and it's January, go ahead, start researching your ports. Even if it's still the beginning of February, research your ports and see where you're going. Take a look at what it is you want to do at each one of these ports. Plus, also, are you going out of Seattle or Vancouver and doing a round trip? Or are you doing a one-way trip out of Seward or Whittier? This is also going to help determine flights as well. So you want to get your flights booked first, and hotels. So go ahead, make sure that is done first before you even start thinking about doing your excursions. The next thing you want to start doing is checking your port times. How long are you going to be at each one of the ports? Where your ship docks is very important. And you want to take a look at your itinerary, see where you're docking. Are you going to be right there at the cruise port? Or are you going to have to be a little further away and take a shuttle in? So for instance, in Ketchikan, you could dock right at the port itself and see that Welcome to Ketchikan sign. Or you might end up being down at Ward Cove where you'll have to take a shuttle in. So that is something that you'll have to keep in mind, and knowing that it could take an extra 10, maybe 15 minutes to get over to the port or to your excursion as well. And also, if you are cruising in and out of Seattle, then you will most likely go to Victoria, British Columbia, there or back. I always came on the way back. That is the most popular cruise, is going round trip in and out of Seattle. And most of those cruise ships that go in and out there will go to Victoria, British Columbia. And sometimes you will only get a 4-hour port, and it will be later at night. And then sometimes you'll get a full 8 hours. I do have a video here or here that you can check out a little bit more of what to do in Victoria. It is a beautiful city, lots of shops, lots of places to eat. It's gorgeous. You can book a little city tour there, or you can even do a little horse-drawn carriage there. It is a gorgeous place, but you probably don't want to plan to do too much if you're only going to be there for the evening. And there's some great places to eat, even right there at the port, if you just want to grab you a bite to eat and then get back on the ship. All right, so now we're in the month of February, or at least the middle of February. You want to start thinking of your budget for your excursions. How much do you have for your excursions? Are you going to book an excursion for every port or just one port? And if you are booking a popular excursion like a helicopter flight seeing tour or even dog sledding, some of those have limited spaces available as well. So even if you're booking that one, and I would also say the White Pass train as well, if you're booking any of those, you probably want to go ahead and have that booked by February, just to be on the safe side and make sure that you have that done and out of the way with, so it's not sold out by the time your cruise gets here. Now, I kind of skipped ahead a little bit here on the next one, but number 5 is deciding if you want to book your excursion through the cruise line or through a third party. So before you book it, have that budget, how much you want to spend, but who are you going to book it through? Are you going to book it through your cruise line or a third party such as Viator or TripAdvisor? Now, I know this is controversial, and I know a lot of people prefer to only book through the cruise line because, yes, if the shore excursion is late getting back, then the cruise ship will not leave you. So I totally understand that, and there are some reasons when you should and shouldn't book a shore excursion through a third party. But I will leave a link in the description below if you just want to check out some different ideas of shore excursions that are available in these areas, because that can really kind of help you to determine where you want to go and what you want to do. All right, now we're in the month of March, and your popular excursions should be booked by now. If you want to do any activities, if you're wanting to look at restaurants, any shops, any things like that, go ahead and start looking at stuff like that. Maybe you want to do like a gold panning, Those don't sell out very fast. If you want to do a walking tour or a cultural tour or a museum, start looking at some different activities like that in March. Now it's time to go ahead and start doing your pre-cruise shopping. Now that you know what activities you're doing, what shore excursions you're doing, this can really help you to do your pre-cruise shopping, to know what gear you're going to need, and if you're going to need those hiking shoes. So for instance, a lot of times, and I even have it on my packing list, and I'll leave it in the description below if you want to check out that free packing list, you'll see things like raincoats, waterproof hiking boots, and binoculars. Now, I will say, regardless, if you are planning on getting off the ship at all, which definitely get off the ship, but even if you're not going to get off the ship, you need binoculars. Alaska is beautiful. There is always something to see, especially if you plan on cruising during the peak season when all the wildlife is out and about. You will always see something. So definitely let that be one of the first things that you get. If you don't already have a pair of binoculars, get some binoculars and get a good set of binoculars. You really need a good set because you want to make sure that you can see pretty far out and have a good zoom range, because there were mountain goats on some of the mountains that we were cruising by, and I didn't get to see them on my binoculars because they weren't very good. So I had to borrow some from another person, but you want to make sure that you have a good set of binoculars. So planning your shore excursions first will really help let everything else kind of fall into place of what you need. But January, since it is the wave season, is a great time to book your Alaska cruise for 2026 or 2027. A lot of times people feel rushed and pressured to go ahead and get everything done right away. You don't have to get everything done today as soon as you book your cruise. Make sure that once you book your cruise, you have your flight and hotel, though you definitely need to make sure you have those two done, and then start researching your cruise ports. Look at other YouTube videos. I've got some listed here for you as well if you want to check them out. I've been there a lot. And then looking at your budget, booking those shore excursions, and then planning your pre-cruise shopping list. And if you still haven't booked your Alaska shore excursions yet, be sure to subscribe. Next week, I'll be talking about Alaska shore excursions. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.